Good evening, everyone. It is Mo from Mo in the Deep End and Fry for nap time. And we have all of the absurd news tonight for you. Welcome, Mani G and Phoenix Fire and Flash Fan. Our first story tonight, a Russian wife shared bed with husband's mummified corpse for 4 years, performing occult rituals, as you do, because what else are you gonna do with your husband's mummy? You know, sentences I never thought I'd say out loud. A Russian mother of four slept with the mummified corpse of her husband for nearly 4 years and performed occult rituals inspired by ancient Egyptian gods, police said. The woman, identified only as 50-year-old Svetlana, shared a bed with her husband Vladimir's desiccated remains and had forbidden her children from telling anyone about him on pain of being shipped off to an orphanage or a mental health facility. Well, Mother of the Year award goes to this chick. Good God. The 49-year-old husband collapsed and died after a domestic dispute on December 2020, during which the wife reportedly yelled at the man and wished he was dead. She's a witch. She's a witch. The bizarre incident occurred at the family's sprawling six-bedroom house in a village of Stravskoyetska in Leningrad region. The irked wife ignored her husband lying motionless on the floor for 4 hours, thinking he was pretending. I mean, look, I get, not checking on him for 5 minutes thinking he's pretending, but 4 hours? Come on, Sarah Boone. That's a little much. 4 hours. Until the couple's eldest daughter realized there was something wrong with her father. There, you know, there are people of Walmart all around the world. I don't know why she's in a kettle for some reason. The mom then barred her children from asking questions about their father, bundled up Vladimir's lifeless body in a blanket, and lugged it into the bedroom. The ghoulish discovery was made last Thursday when social workers arrived at the house to check on the welfare of Svetlana's children, 11-year-old twin boys and two girls ages 8 and 17. Caseworkers had visited the family more than a dozen times since 2021, but had previously failed to notice the dad's blackened mummy body in the bed. How do you miss this? I mean, the smell alone. I have questions. I have all the questions. Vladimir's body showed no signs of trauma that would suggest foul play, according to Russian Investigative Committee for the Leningrad region. Oh, that's a funky foot. A search of the cluttered house turned up multiple items associated with mysticism, including Egyptian crosses, an Egyptian cross that was found at the feet of the mummified husband, tarot cards, amulets, and images of animal skulls, reporting on the Russian outlet 47 News RU. One of the bedrooms had been converted into a makeshift shrine honoring Anubis, the ancient Egyptian god of funerary rites and protector of the underworld. The wife was said to have carried out rituals to help preserve her husband's body instead of laying him to rest, which she claimed was what Vladimir would have wanted. Yeah, he's like, no, honey, I would rather not have a funeral. I want you to turn me into a mummy, but just keep me in the house. Scare the children a bit, do whatever you feel is correct. The woman had told people her missing husband was in Tibet receiving alternative medicine treatment. Okay. As you do. Before his death, Vladimir suffered from problems with his feet because he refused to wear shoes outside and walked around in slippers, even in freezing weather. Well, they both sound just lovely. The wife had been under has been under psychiatric observation for many years because she was said to have a genetic predisposition for schizophrenia. She worked part-time as a veterinarian and treated animals out of her home, with her daughter acting as her surgical assistant. Yes, what this woman needs is access to scalpels. Following the grim discovery at her home, Svetlana was taken to a hospital for a mental health evaluation. Her 4 children were also hospitalized so they could be assessed by doctors and psychologists. Any charges in the case will, quote, be made based on the results of a forensic medical examination of the body and necessary verification activities, during which all the circumstances as well as the causes and conditions of the incident will be established, said the investigative committee. Hello, JKD Buck. Yeah, so totally normal, as you do in the middle of Russia, just mummify your husband and start making shrines to Anubis, as you do, while being a veterinarian and apparently letting this very, very sane woman have access to scalpels and and medications. True, the 4 children and twin boys do kind of give one a little bit of an excuse. You are correct. In other news, apparently squatters took over 1,200 homes in Atlanta, opening illegal strip clubs and terrorizing neighbors. And apparently no one's doing anything about it. Squatters are ruining entire neighborhoods in Atlanta, and police response to evict is slow. Some homeowners have resorted to paying nuisances to leave. Brazen squatters even opened up an illegal strip club on a property they had taken over. One of the 1,200 homes which has been squatted in the city, according to the National Rental Home Council trade group. I'd be terrified in Atlanta to lease out one of my properties. Matt Urbanski, who manages a local home cleaning company, told Bloomberg. Urbanski's company cleans out homes for corporate landlords and in some cases has to remove squatters' possessions. Recently, one of his employees was shot after attempting to remove intruders from a property. Simon Frost, CEO of large-scale landlord Tiber Capital Group, said there have been incidents of unlawful occupants brandishing weapons and threatening neighbors, which affects the safety of neighborhoods and other residents, according to Bloomberg. Evicting squatters in Atlanta is tough, involving negotiating court backlogs and strained police resources. Meanwhile, online listings and versatile real estate agents make it easy for squatters to identify vacant properties to break into. In October, an Atlanta neighborhood found itself at the center of a scandal involving squatters who transformed a home into an illegal strip club, complete with weekend parties and even live horses on the property. Because horse shows, always, always classy in Atlanta. The drama unfolded at the South Fulton area, where 4 individuals, DeAnthony Maddox, Jeremy Wheat, Kelvin Hall, and Tarshjay Ford, look, I gave it 2 tries, took up residence without permission. Little did the neighbors know that the 4,000 square foot 5-bedroom home with 3 bathrooms would become a den of illicit activity. The squatters ran a clandestine strip club, held noisy parties. I guess so. And even organized car races in the street, ruining the neighborhood for others, according to local reports. Oh yeah, I would be pissed. They would get live horses. One day they had live horses. One neighbor told Atlanta station WSB TV2. Eventually, a SWAT team had to clear out the house and recover 2 stolen cars, a stolen weapon, and stolen credit cards from the property, according to the local report. One neighbor told the Post they're afraid to even go on vacation because if squatters find out the home is vacant, they just move right in. Is this even America anymore? We're homeowners. We can't even do anything about trespassers, the neighbor said in frustration. In another incident, Army officer Lieutenant Colonel Dalia Doterre discovered a convicted criminal squatting in her home. The Army officer returned to her property to find a squatter living in her sprawling $500,000 residence while she was away on active duty. She previously told WSB TV she came home to find a man by the name of Vincent Simon living in her home. Simon, a man who had been convicted on drugs, guns, and theft charges, refused to leave the home. When when Lieutenant Colonel Dalia Daltre reported the unwanted man in her home to the cops, they initially told her their hands were tied because it was a civil matter. Serving him eviction papers also didn't help. After using an obscure law to finally get the police involved, cops found guns and drugs at the home. To find out that this person has moved into my home right after I got done renovating, it was very aggravating and I was angry, she told Fox. Yeah, no. I know that was a super nice house in the landscaping, and he tore up that inside of the house. I mean, it looks like she's got window treatments. I would be so ticked off. In other housing news, 70 current and ex-NYCHA workers are cuffed in historic, decades-long $2 million classic pay for play, bribery, and extortion bust. Hey, you know what? This is the second time I've seen this particular DA, and he's also the one, I believe, going after the senator from New Jersey. His name is escaping me right now, but he's the one that had the gold bars in his jacket that are totally legitimate gold bars that everyone always has in there. It's your jacket gold bar that you always have. So they are also going after it. So I will say this DA doesn't play. 70 current and former NYCHA workers were charged Tuesday in a 10-year, $2 million classic pay for play corruption scheme involving the largest number of federal bribery raps brought in a single day in Department of Justice history. Oh, my mom had a sort of had a squatter failure to pay rent for several months as mom dad doing legal things who pooed on walls and ripped out plumbing. What is wrong with people? Not Chris Christie. He's the senator from New Jersey. His name escapes me, but they found him with all sorts of gold bars and they bought his wife like a car. And it's not Santos, but it's the other one. It's not Fetterman. It doesn't have that weird thing on it. It's one of the corrupt ones, so each of them. Some of the total kickbacks to rogue workers hit more than $300,000, and several of the heftiest charges were slapped against a 47-year-old female employee accused of helping an unnamed co-conspirator extort contractors in exchange for work with the agency, court documents claims. Menendez, that's its name. Yeah, Menendez. There we go. What is wrong with people? I swear, we need obedience training for people with little shock collars. Some days I wonder about people. Let's see. Court documents claim, babe, could you put a company through for someone? All you would need to do is sign the documents as approved and get anyone to sign as requester, the co-conspirator messaged Angela Williams on February 3rd, 2022, according to the papers. That's been my side hustle, LOL. 1,000 per, the unidentified person added to Williams, who allegedly wiped her phone throughout through a factory reset in January 2023, thwarting Fed's attempts to retrieve all her text. Another suspect who was busted along with his wife and a third NYCHA cohort working in tandem with them even grew unsatisfied with the bribes he was receiving in cash tucked in envelopes and demanded double, authorities said. Joseph Fuller, an assistant supervisor at Seth Low Houses in Brooklyn, told a contractor in 2021 that the standard 10% kickback of contract value would no longer suffice, and he would be raising the rates up to 20%, telling him there were other contractors willing to pay that higher amount, court papers say. The contractor refused, and he did not get any more work at the property. The avalanche of bribery and extortion crimes occurred in about a third of the 335 developments in the New York Housing Authority, the country's biggest public housing agency, when the suspects demanded cash in exchange for lucrative construction, maintenance, and no-bid contracts, officials said. The defendants, all of whom were working for the Housing Authority at the time, sought between 10 and 20% of the contract's value, or kickbacks of between $500 and $2,000, though some asked for higher amounts, authorities said. I love it. They're all getting, like, you're getting arrested, and you get arrested, and you get arrested. In total, dozens of rogue workers received more than $2 million in bribes involving $13 million in contracts between 2013 and 2023, officials said. Williams, a housing manager who earned $78 from the Housing Association in 2023, netted $15,000 in bribes, according to documents and online records. But some defendants pocketed much more, authorities said. Suspect Juan Mercado, a residential building super, solicited and accepted a total of at least approximately $314,300 in bribes in exchange for arranging certain contractors to receive no-bid contracts from the Housing Authority to work worth a total of approximately $1,761,000, feds say. Mercado's salary was $99,478 last year. The judge set his bond at $100,000. His longtime partner, who was in the room, posted the amount, freeing the suspect. As a part of the bond agreement, Mercado was ordered to surrender his cachet, or his cash. Look, I don't know. There's an E on the end of it. If they're going to have trick spelling words, they should just not put an E on the end of it. His cache of 37 handguns, 13 rifle, and his firearm license. He's also restricted to travel only within the eastern and southern districts of New York. Supernormal Lorick netted a total of, is that a real name? Oh, Supernormal Lorick netted a total of $153,000 in exchange for no-bid contracts worth at least $1.3 million, the court papers show. Illicit kickbacks were in addition to Lorick's housing salary, which totaled $126,688. This is ridiculous. Another suspect, Superintendent Jose Hernandez, allegedly demanded at least around $95,000 in bribes for no-bid contracts worth at least $640,000. He earned $90,228 in 2023. A caretaker at East Harlem's Taft Houses, who would only give his first name, Brian, told the Post that his boss, Superintendent Deshaun Hopkins, was arrested the moment he pulled up into the or pulled up to the complex Tuesday morning. My coworker came up to me and said, "Yo, the feds came up and picked up Hopkins." And I just couldn't believe it. The minute he got out of the car, they got him, Brian said. Wow. Hopkins, 47, who earned $110,334 last year as a residential building super, raked in $13,500 in bribes in exchange for arranging certain contractors to receive no-bid contracts from the authority worth a total of at least $125,000 and or to perform work pursuant to blanket contracts. He's now facing charges of solicitation and receipt of a bribe, extortion under color of official right, which carries up to 10 to 20 years behind bars, respectively. The one thing I would say about working for housing is I can definitely see how easy it is to make friends and be tempted with bribes. That's why I stay clear from superintendents, because you hear stuff like this happens, Brian said. Several of the suspects looked downtrodden as they were marched handcuffed into Manhattan's federal court for their arraignments Tuesday afternoon. The wife of one of the defendants complained to the Post that agents, for the love of God, not ancients, you know, it's thank you, Bad Weather Biker, for your donation. And I mean, I could see how it would be really easy to want to be tempted to, take money back, but the feds are always going to win, and they're always going to be waiting to get you, so don't do it. Look, I am too guilty. I know I'm going to get caught. It's the recovering Catholic in me. It's just not going to happen. One of the wife of one of the defendants complained to the Post that federal agents bust through her family's front door at 5 a.m. while the couple was getting their kids ready for school. How dare you interrupt my day when my husband has... Could you please arrest my husband for embezzlement and stealing later? It is bothering my day. I'm just shocked. I can't believe it, said the woman who did not identify herself nor her husband. She said she was in such a daze at the time she couldn't remember what law enforcement officials said during the bust. The woman was among a slew of suspects' family members who packed the court's hallways as their relatives prepared to make their first appearance in front of a judge. The court set aside 7 different courtrooms to make room for all the alleged crooked city workers. The scheme spanned all 5 boroughs, authorities said, presenting a map at a press conference Tuesday morning littered with dots representing all of the sites. Officials said the illegal payments have been a standard part of doing business for the last decade at these housing authority places. Ensnared in this scheme, court documents show that the investigation has been ongoing for at least 4 years, including cooperation from several contractors. Instead of acting in the interest of these, building association residents, the city of New York, or taxpayers, the 70 defendants charged today allegedly used their jobs to line their own pockets. U.S. Attorney Damian Williams said. Is he a double Williams, or was that a typo? And it said in a joint statement with other officials, "These residents deserve better. My office is firmly committed to cleaning up corruption that has plagued this building association for far too long so that its residents can be served with integrity and have the high-quality, affordable homes that they deserve. The culture of corruption ends today." Good luck with that. 66 of the 70 defendants were arrested Tuesday morning in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and South Carolina, the Southern District of New York said. The suspects were arrested in the city and hauled off in cuffs from the Taft House and Harlem King's houses, as well as other city housing complexes. The defendants allegedly abused the powers given to them while dealing with no-bid city projects, contracts for smaller repairs, and other construction done at city housing developments. As long as the city contracts are worth under an estimated $10,000, local development managers can award them without going through public bidding process, a system that is faster than the usual procurement process but also ripe for such potential corruption, sources told the Post. The threshold for no-bid contracts was originally $5,000 before being doubled in 2019, the court documents viewed by the Post noted. Yipes. Yeah, these people are all morons. Look, the Fed does not bring charges unless you are all the guilties, so good luck under that. In a more puzzling update, we keep getting more and more updates about these Kansas City Chief fans, and every time we get more information, the case just gets wonkier to me. Kansas City Chief fan's death, drugs in men's system now show there's more to the story, family says. Reports of THC, cocaine, and lethal levels of fentanyl in the system of 3 Kansas City Chief fans found frozen to death in their friend's backyard have not brought closure to their families who are still pushing for a thorough investigation into their deaths. The preliminary findings in the postmortem examinations of Ricky Johnson, 38, Clayton McGeeney, 36, and David Harrington, 37, all found dead on the evening of January 9th in Jordan Willis's backyard 2 days after attending an NFL watch party, were shared with the men's families last week, Fox News Digital confirmed. Fox 4 Kansas City reported several substances, including cocaine, fentanyl, were found in the men's system, but the presence of the substances did not alleviate Harrington's family members of their suspicions regarding his death. What matters is that he didn't take that to die, his stepmother Teresa Harrington told News Nation. He didn't take that to die. If he took the drugs on his own, he took them to get high. Well, ma'am, I concede that you are grieving, but it's like playing Russian roulette with that, especially with the F drug. I mean, I'm no chemistrologist, but isn't that F drug pretty easy to screw up and you just take a little bit too much and it's, lights out instead of happy, fun, high town? I mean, I understand that you want someone to blame because it's just too pointless and absurd and ridiculous that your loved one is dead because of a stupid pill. But unfortunately, sometimes it happens. It just means there's more to the story, she continued. There's more to it than that. We keep getting answers that police are still investigating, so there's something that they're saying. Maybe it's not right. Harrington said David wasn't a drug addict, suggesting he may not have taken the drugs under peer pressure. Harrington's father, John Harrington, said the man likely got the drugs there, referring to Willis's house, where they were last seen alive. Someone gave them something that would kill them. No, sir, they probably, again, if your son didn't take that stuff regularly, he might have had a bad reaction. I don't know. But it could. I know, Eris, but I also think that they really just want someone to blame. Because right now, it's too hard to think my son did something a little bit dumb and it led to him dying. And that's a hard thing to kind of deal with. He told News Nation's Chris Cuomo. News Nation hired Chris Cuomo? The hell, News Nation? Previously, the elder Harrington told Fox News Digital that he was, quote, convinced that Jordan Willis played a part in this somehow. We just haven't figured that out yet, he said at the time before the preliminary results had been released. What else could it be? Perfectly healthy men don't just drop off the face of the earth. Hello, John and expert. Uh, there were 4 of you in the house, and now 3 of them are dead, and you're not. That doesn't add up, the father continued. I'm thinking that he and the 3 of them learned something or saw something that they shouldn't have seen, he decided, and well, I need to get rid of you now, friends or not. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, After speaking with Pallet County Prosecutor's Office, Harrington's father said he would expect that they will treat this as a drug overdose and go on with their business. But I don't think it's as simple as that, he said. I'm aware that they have done some substances that are questionable, but the idea was to get high, not dead. If they were supposed to be with friends, why didn't Willis come to find them? I'm sure I have 100 different answers to that, but that's my question. Well, have you talked to the man? Last week, the men's family all met with Pallet County prosecutors, with McGinney's cousin telling Fox 4 Kansas City that they want to see what action was being taken. A representative with the Pallet County Prosecutor's Office told Fox News Digital that the partial leak of the toxicology information was not delivered at the meeting and must have come from Kansas City Police Department. There have been no additional details of this case or reports revealed as or to any media, nor are there any plans at this time, Kansas City Police Department Captain Jacob Benchena told Fox News Digital on Thursday evening. The case remains an ongoing death investigation. Both KCPD detectives and the Pallet County Prosecutor's Office have been in touch with the deceased men's family and remain in contact with them as the investigation unfolds. Any records associated with the case, to include toxicology reports or medical examiner reports, should remain a closed record at this time until the investigation is concluded, he states. Yes, I think the expert is on, yes, he is on Twitter. A spokesperson for Frontier Forensic Midwest, the private company contracted by Pallet County to carry out the autopsy, told Fox News that the results of the men's toxicology reports will take 6 to 8 weeks to process, while their full autopsy reports will not be released for another 10 to 12 weeks. In the hours before preliminary toxicology reports were released, Willis checked himself into an inpatient rehab facility, a source close to his family told Fox News Digital. This was an enormous, heartbreaking wake-up call for Jordan, and he's facing his addiction head-on, the source said. Willis's attorney, John Picarino, told Fox News Digital on Tuesday that he will not make any comments until the autopsy, which includes the cause of death, is released. So I will say that the more we learn about this, I mean, it does seem interesting. In other news, let's see why us pale people get all the multiple sclerosis, because apparently it's probably because we get sunburned all the time. No idea. Let's see. Ancient DNA helps explain why Northern Europeans have a higher risk of multiple sclerosis than other ancestries. It's a genetic legacy of horseback riding cattle herders who swept into the region about 5,000 years ago. I always knew it was going to be an inbred cowboy. Findings come from a huge project to compare modern DNA that is culled from with that culled from ancient human teeth and bones, allowing scientists to trace both prehistoric migration and disease-linked genes that tag along. When a Bronze Age people called the Yanama moved from the steppes of what is now Ukraine and Russia, could that region just stop effing with the entire world once in a while? They carry gene variants that today are known to increase people's risk of MS, researchers reported Wednesday. Yet they flourished, widely spreading those variants. They spread forth and multiplied like crazy rabbits. Those genes probably also protected the nomadic herders from infections carried by their cattle and sheep. Cenk Uygur among us? Concluded the research published by the journal Nature. What we found surprised everyone, said study co-author William Berry, a genetics researcher at the University of Cambridge. These variants were giving these people an advantage of some kind. Well, look, we don't play with cows that way, Cenk. It's one of several findings from a first-of-its-kind gene bank with thousands of samples of early humans in Europe and Western Asia, a project headed by Eski Willerslev of Cambridge and the University of Copenhagen, who helped pioneer the study of ancient DNA. Similar research has traced even earlier cousins of humans, such as Neanderthals. Using the new gene bank to explore MS was a logical first step because while MS can strike any population, it is most common among white descendants of Northern Europeans, and scientists have been unable to explain why. The potentially disabling disease occurs when the immune system cells mistakenly attack the protective coating on nerve fibers, gradually eroding them. It causes varying symptoms: numbness, tingling in one person, impaired walking, and vision loss in another that often wax and wane. It's not clear what causes MS, though a leading theory is that certain infections could trigger it in people who are genetically susceptible. More than 230 genetic variants have been found that can increase someone's risk. This sounds like playing D&D in the dark while also playing tic-tac-toe and Uno. But okay. Researchers first examined DNA from about 1,600 ancient Eurasians, mapping some measured shifts in Northern Europe's population. First, farmers from the Middle East began to supplant hunter-gatherers, and then, nearly 5,000 years ago, these Yamaha people began moving in. Traveling with horses and wagons, they were the original Oregon Trail people. They brought dysentery to everyone. And they herded cattle and sheep. The research team compared the ancient DNA to about 400,000 present-day people stored in the UK gene bank to see the MS-linked genetic variations persistent in the north, the direction the Yamnaya people moved, rather than in the southern European area. In what is now Denmark, these people rapidly replaced. I'm blaming Yamaha Biker for all of this. Ancient farmers, making them the closest ancestors to the modern Danes. Willerslev said MS rates are particularly high in Scandinavian countries. It's all because y'all just failed the Oregon Trail. Good Lord. Why would gene variants presumed to have strengthened ancient immunity later play a role in an autoimmune disease? Differences in how modern humans are exposed to animal germs may play a role, knocking the immune system out of balance. I guess we're all going to go play with baby cows now. Come on, who hasn't seen a mini cow? I am very sorry, Phoenix Fire. I've seen many people close to me suffer, and when I worked at the therapy pool, I had several patients, and it was really nice for them to be in the therapy pool. Broken Baker, you and the Yamaha people brought us this stuff and cows. But hear me out, people. Everyone gets a baby cow. Haven't you seen those cute little miniature cows that they have? You can get a miniature little cow. Uh, the finding the findings finally offer an explanation for the north-south MS divide in Europe, but more work is needed to confirm the link, cautioned genetic expert Samira Asagari of New York's Mount Sinai School of Medicine, who wasn't involved with the research, in an accompanying commentary. So it is interesting to see this go back and see how they can link things through kind of genetics. And it would be interesting to see if they can maybe think of different therapeutics now that they've seen maybe kind of the environment where this sort of adaptation would be advantageous. So maybe we can think of different therapeutics because we rely a lot on just like a pill to fix things, but if there's a therapeutic that we could do, to challenge the immune system in a way that it used to be challenged, like in, the old cave people days. What are you? Fry, you are ridiculous. Then that would be really interesting. It is really interesting to see how far and fast they have come with the genetic sequencing too, because I remember about, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago, they were completely just woefully behind on the mapping the human genome. They're like, we're 1% done and we've got 90 bajillion to do. But with these supercomputers, I'm not a mathologist, but it's exponential. So as soon as they get 10%, it goes 10 to the, fourth power and fifth power and sixth power, because as they start to be able to learn things, it's just very interesting. Oh, that is so awesome. That's a great idea. Well, they also liked Hugo Boss. I'm more of a, eh, well, more of a not Hugo Boss person myself. I'm more of a Garanimals gal myself, Old Navy. So, you know, it is what it is. In happy news, that's his, yeah, that's one of his ropes. He he's Twins share their secret to feeling young, aged 104 years old. At 104, Emma Harris and Thelma Barat are thought to be Britain's oldest twins. Born in Stockport in 1919, the sisters were 19 at the outbreak of World War II, have seen the coronation of three monarchs. Elma and Thelma, who now live together at a care home in Lancashire. Lancashire? That's what we're going to go with. Uh, attributed their youthful outlook to the occasional drop of brandy. Now, there's some gals I can get behind. If you feel young, you stay young, said Emma. The twins said they didn't always get along as well as they do now, saying they were close to scratching one another's eyes out sometimes in their younger days. quarrels aside, the sisters said they had plenty of fun, especially while working together at Smith's Crisps, which they joined after leaving school. Thelma worked at the plant throughout the war, while Emma was called up to work at Fairley's Aviation's nearby factory making parts for the RAF. Elma's first husband, Bill, died soon after the World War, while Thelma's husband, Joe, worked as a hatter in Stockport. He worked for the hat trade, and if he was caught without his hat, he got fined half a crown, Thelma said. Many a time when we were recording, I would find myself whisked down an entry because he'd seen them in a distance. The sisters said they always enjoyed a good night out and would trawl around the town looking for new dresses to wear. The twins, who turn 105 in August, said they still enjoy life to the full. We looked at each other each day and said, "Who would have thought we'd live to be this age? We didn't, but we're still here," Thelma said. You know, uh, just going to throw this out here if any of you are trying to do this. I understand that this particular gentleman is from the UK, but don't pretend to be a real estate agent while you're just maybe growing non-legal lettuce, if you will. It probably won't work out for you. This is not the pre-real estate that we're talking about. A fake Hull estate agent cannabis growing gang jailed. A gang which rang a drug dealing operation using an estate agent as a cover has been jailed. I know, I need to make sure that this is actually street legal. I'm gonna need all of this for signs. Thank you. Jeremy Southgate, 63, bought up properties across Hull and set up cannabis growing factories, police said. He drew up ghost tenant agreements and even opened up a property shop on Newland Avenue with fake property advertisements displayed in the window. Detectives estimated the drugs operation made £11.4 million per year. Humberside police said the investigation began when a search of a property owned by Southgate discovered £74,000 worth of cannabis plants. You are not French. Stop surrendering. Officers launched surveillance on the estate agent owned by Jeremy Southgate and managed by Florian Cassage. Raids were carried out on 15 properties across the city, and thousands of cannabis plants, growing equipment, and cash were uncovered. Well, I mean, what else are you going to do with a bunch of properties? Like sell them and actually be a real estate agent? That stuff is hard. You have to people. It was also discovered that Southgate had gained government grants to install insulation around each building to stop the drugs from being detected. Sir, you are my hero. You not only grew pot in all of your residences, but you made the government pay for insulation so they couldn't smell it. I don't know how you did that, but that is flippin' amazing. More than £50,000 was also discovered from Southgate's boat moored in Hull Marina. Police say the drugs factory were staffed by illegal immigrants from Albania. Southgate, a borough, was found guilty of 2 counts of conspiracy to produce. Look, so basically, you know, Again, I'm just impressed that he got the government to pay for the insulation that stopped them from being able to smell the sticky icky. I would doff my hat to you if I had a hat on right now, sir. Now, I am going to let you guys go a little early because I am going to be going over to Shizzy's stream, and we are going to be, well, let's be real. We're going to be doing about a 20-80 split where we talk or we watch 20%, of Sadie's interview and then 80% random shenanigans wherever we go. But I will be watching. I actually have it bobby pinned fairly well, so but I will be redirecting you over there. I'm going to take Fry out to use the restroom. So get you guys some snacks, get a drink, go use the potty, and then I will be on with Shizzy. Have a great evening. Say something kind to yourself, say something kind to someone else. You know, it's been a long couple years. Let's be nice to each other a little bit. Snarky nice. We can try. Have a good evening, guys. Bye.